So we're going to get started. Question number 1 and question number 2. We didn't explicitly go over this type of question in class because this is Algebra 1 skills. And so it was on the practice worksheet. So you got 3 problems of each of these that you got for practice. What's this say? I don't know that I need to hear anything. I'm just talking to myself. So the first question is distributing. What's another word for distribute? Multiply. We're just multiplying. So if you want to remember, this is, sorry. That's the actual operation. That's what you're doing. You are multiplying. And so we are going to distribute and multiply. What's the number in front of x if there isn't one? 1. So 6 times 6 is 6. And then x times x is x squared. Next, we draw the next arrow. 6 times 5 is 30, and there's an x. That's it. Don't forget this x. That's usually the mistake that we make is we forget this x. There's an x out here, so you got to multiply it. Remember that this warm-up is an easy 100. All you have to do is have your answers match or your work match my work. And if you don't have any of the work or your answer is wrong, erase it and fix it before you turn it in. It's very simple. Next, you can use a box method or FOIL. If you learned with a box and that's what work you have on your paper, awesome to awesome. You can leave it like that. I'm going to use FOIL because I think it's faster and it uses less. I don't have to do extra work. So, huh? I think it's the exact same thing. I think that even if you were never taught how to use FOIL, which just stands for first, outer, inner, last, and it doesn't really matter which order that you even go in. You just had to make sure that you hit all of them. So I'm going to show you FOIL because most of you guys were taught using a box. And it just uses less paper, in my opinion. But you can use whatever. You'll get the same answer. So if you don't like my method, you don't have to use it. So I'm going to multiply the first times the first. So x times x is x squared. And then I'm going to keep going to the last. So this is the outer, the 2 outer numbers. X times positive 4 is positive 4x. Okay, so all you have to do is draw arrows from the first term and the second term, only in the first one. So you're just making sure that this term multiplies by both of these things, and then we'll make sure that the second term, the -3, multiplies both things as well. So now I'm going to do -3. So this is inner, that's the I, the 2 inner terms. -3 times x is -3x. And then last, it's the 2 last terms. And so I'll draw an arrow. So -3 times 4 is -12. So you've got 4 terms, you're going to have 4 arrows. From here, you will always combine like terms in the middle. So 4 minus 3 is 1. So I get x squared minus 1x minus 12. Do I have to write the 1 right here? No, I did. It's not wrong if you do. It's not wrong if you don't. So if you like a box, use a box. If you like FOIL, use FOIL. Next, factor out the greatest common factor. So greatest common factor, what do they have in common? I look at the coefficient and then I look at the variables. And so here, looking at the coefficients, what do 5 and 45 have in common? 5. All right, then we're going to look at the variables. I have x squared here and x here. So what's the most amount that I could pull out? Just an x. All right. GCFs, our greatest common factors, have to rewrite out into the front. And now I'm going to write down what I have left. 5 divided by 5 is 1. I have two x's and I'm dividing one out, so I'm just left with x. Negative 45 divided by 5 is what? Negative 9. X divided by x is 1. 1 times negative 9, it doesn't change. There is my answer. So what you'll notice is that question number 1 and question number 3, they're inverses of each other. So GCF is factoring, factoring is dividing. Distributing is multiplying, so they're opposites. So like you get this answer, you could always multiply this in, which is what you did here. Or you could divide out the GCF and you would get this answer. So they're opposites of each other, inverses. Moving on. Any questions over these? I hope everybody gets all 3 of these correct. So the biggest mistake that I notice is that since it's multiple choice, you circle the answer real fast and you move on and you don't double check things. Just make sure it's the exact same thing that you have written down. So like make sure that it's got this X on it, things like that. Or make sure that your signs are right. Just because the numbers are right, just because there's a 1 and a 12, make sure that it's got the signs that you need. And you can get partial credit. So I feel like every problem, you need to work the problem first and then go find your answer. Don't force an answer to match what you think it should be, especially since you can get partial credit. For this one, this is 2 terms. 2 terms is typically either GCF or perfect squares. So for this one, it is perfect squares. And so I'm going to rewrite it first. X squared minus, what's another way to write 49 so that it's something squared? 7 squared. As soon as you have this format, you can use this formula. So when I rewrite it, I'm going to have 2 sets of parentheses and I will put the first thing first. First thing I see is the X. So I'm writing X in 2 spots, so I'm not writing it squared. That's how I'm doing it twice. And now I'm going to do the 7 twice. 1 here, 1 here. Second thing second. And now I need to make one of them, bless you, one of them positive, one of them negative. Does it matter which one I do? No. For perfect squares, it does not matter. So the formula that I have written here says negative first. It doesn't matter. I can put the positive first and then the negative. It just needs to have both. This one, the order doesn't matter. That's easy peasy. You're going to have one like that. Yeah, let's get it right. Next, factor this trinomial. So this is 3 terms and the leading coefficient is 1. This is my favorite kind of factoring because it's fast. So fast factoring, I'm going to find factors of 24. Factors of 24, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. So now I'm going to look for and I haven't even looked at positive or negative yet. If I look, I need to find a factor pair that can put together to give me 2. Yeah, 4 and 6 is the only factor pair that can put together to give me 2. Why am I doing that? So I'm going to set up my parentheses. There's going to be an X and an X because it's X squared. So there gets to be an X and an X. I'm going to put 4 and 6 in the parentheses. And so the bigger number is always going to match the sign of the middle term. So 6 is bigger, it's going to be positive. If I have 6, would I add or subtract 4 to make positive 2? Subtract. So you always start with your bigger number. Your bigger number will always match the sign of the middle term. And if we multiplied negative 4 times positive 6, do I get negative 24? Good job. We're almost done. The last problem is factor by grouping. So grouping, as the name implies, we need to have two groups. For the first group, what is the GCF? X. For the second group, what is my GCF? 3, and it's a positive 3. Are there any negatives in this problem? No negatives in the answer. So that's a really easy way to mark off some of the answers. Remember, if there's not a negative in the problem, there will not be a negative in the answer. End of story. All right, so GCF always gets written out into the front. If I divide out an x from my first group, I'm going to reduce this degree, is what it's called, reduce the exponent or the degree by 1. So I get an x. And then over here, x divided by x, they cancel out or they turn into 1. So I'm just left with a 2, so plus 2. If I do my factoring correctly, what should my second set of parentheses be? X plus 2. So I'm going to pull out into the front, plus 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1. I'm just left with x. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Two sets of parentheses that are the same. Yay! So I'm going to factor out x plus 2. It goes out into the front, so I get x plus 2, and then I write down what I have left, which is the stuff outside the parentheses, x and plus 3. You can always double check your work because your answer is going to be the GCFs. So what I factored out first, x plus 3, that's part of my answer. What I factored out second, x plus 2, also part of my answer. We're done.